welcome to our new YouCello video of the week. This time addressing aspects of the left arm technique. I'm Warrick Dobbie, cellist and pedagogue from Sydney, Australia, and we're looking at basically situations where students encounter problems and they could do things better. Okay, so the first tip for today is to do with mobility around the cello, especially focusing on the left hand side of things. The cello is basically in the center, stable, and we should be free to be mobile around the instrument as we play. Now, with this in mind, accessing the C string, I should lift my elbow up and forward, and as you see, if I push forward and up, it brings the little finger, the pinky, into play over the C string. To access the G, transition to the G, I push down and back a little bit to the G. Likewise, down and back a little bit to the D. And ideally, I should do the same, come back and down towards the A string. Now, a very common mistake made by students is, once again, they're very good on the lower three strings. They push up to access the C, the G string, and the D. But when they go to the A string, they sink in the wrist in a very cramped manner like this. Okay, so what should happen is not come down around and sink in wrist, but carry the concept to its fullest extent. In other words, come down and around to the D, to the A string, push back the elbow like a V shape, like the wings of a jet plane, like that. So there's giving yourself some elbow room on the A string. Now, not only is this providing you with a nice balanced position, but it's getting our fingers into that nice diagonal shape with the fingernails pointing somewhat towards the bridge that we like so much. The fingers actually work best with the most freedom when we've got that diagonal, compared to being at right angles. Then they're a little bit, they don't work quite so well in that shape. So yes, giving ourselves elbow room, especially on the A string, is very desirable. Also, it's going to be conducive to really good vibrato on the A string. And if you can see the opposite, if we do the student mistake, vibrato is very difficult, if not impossible, on the A string. So that's tip number one, and I hope it helps you. It really makes a big difference when we point that out to students, and if they get it right. The second tip for today deals with accessing all the positions on the cello. We like to have an elbow level, a level of our elbow and wrist, in which we can just extend the forearm in one action to access the whole string, the whole length of the string, I should say, on the cello. What tends to happen with many students is their elbow and wrist height is too low, which means they're fine getting around the first four positions of cello, but they soon collide with the instrument, what I call karate chopping the cello. They karate chop the cello when they get to fourth position. This not only is a physical barrier, but it's a psychological barrier to going higher and playing with ease in the upper positions. So we've got to encourage a position where we can access the whole of the fingerboard with one level of the left arm and wrist. You can see if the elbow is too low, they go up to fourth position. To go any higher, they have to actually change gear to go higher, which is once again reinforcing that barrier to the upper positions. So the best exercise here is to put our hand on the fingerboard, run our fingers along the string to the very end of the fingerboard. This should establish the correct height that we should be at back in first position, like that. Now, if you look at the shoulder of the cello, it's very rounded and curvy. We like to reflect that curve in the underside of our forearm and wrist. We don't want to be looking like that. The optimum position is to actually reflect the curve of the cello in our body. Now, once again, this also sets us up for a very generous open position in which vibrato is encouraged. It's not going to be a struggle when we tackle vibrato. So there are 2 tips from YouCello today. We hope they help you and avoid all of those problems which so many other cellists have seen in the past. If we can avoid them ahead of time, we'll be doing very well. So please feel free to subscribe to our channel and look out for future videos in our YouCello series. And we look forward to seeing you in another one of our cello episodes.